He woke to a cold light above his face. It was bright and white, like ice pressed to skin. For a moment, he did not remember his name. He only knew this room. Metal walls. Silent ceiling vents. A slow hum like a sleeping beast under the floor. Then memory returned in pieces. He was a human soldier. He had been on patrol in deep space. A distress signal. A dark shape near an asteroid belt. A flash. A sharp smell in his helmet. After that, nothing. He sat up on the narrow bed. Straps hung from the frame. They were open now, but he could see the marks they left on his wrists. He flexed his fingers. He felt sore, but he was alive. Touched his chest and jaw. No cuts. No broken bones. Only the ache of drugs moving out of the blood. He looked around the room again. It was not human design. The corners were too smooth. The door had no handle, only a thin black line like a mouth pressed shut. Symbols glowed on the wall. They were not letters. They were curves and dots that pulsed like a heartbeat. He stood and moved slowly, testing his legs. He wore a plain gray suit, soft and clean, with no pockets. Listened. Through the wall, faint voices murmured. The language was strange. It sounded like wind moving through glass tubes, rising and falling in careful music. He did not know the words, but he knew the feeling behind them: calm work. A plan, a schedule being kept. He stepped to the door. As he neared it, the black line slid open without sound. A hallway waited outside. It was long and white, with a glitter in the floor like ground stars. The ceiling had round lamps spaced like moons. No guards stood there. No one watched him. That felt wrong. He knew a trap when he saw one. He also knew an invitation. He stepped out and walked. The hum grew louder. The air smelled clean, like rain after a storm. He passed oval windows in the walls. Each window showed another room. In one, he saw a table crowded with tools. Strange hands moved over a glowing model of a human heart. Model opened like a flower, and silver lights marked its veins. In another, he saw tall tanks with pale blue liquid. Something floated in one of the tanks, curled and small. He could not hold the sight for long. He moved on. The voices came closer. He reached a wider space, almost a small plaza, in the middle of the hallway. Screens hung from the ceiling, each showing lines and shapes that updated by the second. And there, standing under the screens, were the beings who took him. They were tall, taller than him. Their skin had a soft, dull shine, like stone warmed by sun, with patterns that shifted when they breathed. Their eyes were large and focused. They wore coats that changed color with their hand signs, symbols rippling across fabric like ripples on a pond. When they looked at him, they did not smile or show anger. They looked like engineers watching a known machine. One stepped forward. It held a slim device that projected a calm human voice. "Welcome, human soldier," the voice said. "You are safe. You were recovered in a debris field. You received medical care. Your health is stable." He kept his hands open by his sides and did not show his fear. "Where am I?" "Research Habitat 7, the device said. "We study survival, we study strength. You will help us. Please follow." He did not move. "Why me?" Waited, as if choosing words, "'Cause you belong to a rare group. Your kind survives. Your kind adapts. You are a key piece in our design." His chest tightened. He had heard rumors in bars near frontier docks. Ships lost near quiet sectors. Signs of labs hidden behind dead moons. Talk of programs and pairings and hybrids. Said the stories were nonsense. Scary tales to make second shift pass faster. Watching these beings, he felt the old rumors open eyes. "I want my ship," he said. "I want to contact my people. Such contact may be possible later," the device replied. "You will be comfortable here. We provide food and rest. We will not harm you, but we have much to do," he thought. "You may not harm me, but you will use me." He did not say it out loud. "Follow," the device said again. He walked, because he had no weapon and no map of this place. He walked because sometimes the fastest way out is through. The tall being led him down the hall. They passed doors with symbols that glowed and faded like breathing. Behind one door, he heard a soft sound that pulled at him, someone crying. He slowed. Who is in there? The being paused, then opened the door. The room inside was warm and dim. Cushions lined the walls. In the center sat a female alien, her shoulders shaking. She was adult, with the same stone-soft skin and large eyes as the others, but there was no coat on her, only a simple wrap. Symbols were painted on her arms like rings of a tree. She looked up at him, startled, then looked down again, as if trained not to stare. He saw no chains on her, but he felt the chains in the air. The being with the device stepped in. The device spoke. This is a carrier. She is healthy. She's prepared. The human soldier stood very still. Prepared for what? For the program, the device said. For the next generation. You will be introduced at a proper time. The female did not speak. Her eyes moved to the corner, where a small basket sat under a heat lamp. Inside the basket was a folded cloth, and under the cloth, a soft glow. He could not see what made the light, but he felt its pull like a heartbeat under a blanket. He swallowed. I will not hurt anyone. The device's voice remained calm. Harm is not our aim. Life is our aim. Survival is our aim. We have studied your species. We have learned that natural pairing with human males leads to strong outcomes. No machines, no chemicals, only nature. You're valuable. He took a slow breath and let it out. You mean breeding? The word hung in the warm air. The carrier flinched. The being with the device did not react. We do not use your words, the device said. We use numbers. Numbers are good. He looked at the carrier again. She still did not lift her head. Her hands, though, were tight fists on her knees. He saw a thin scar on one knuckle. It was not old. She was not a volunteer. He knew that deep in his bones, he forced himself to meet the being's flat gaze. What if I refuse? Refusal is one path, the device said. Another path is understanding. Another is cooperation. Your kind values choice. We will offer you choices that lead to the best outcome for all. He heard the threat that hid behind the smooth voice. He also heard something else. These beings believed their plan was right. That made them more dangerous than any simple captor. A captor who knows he is cruel can be bargained with. A captor who thinks he's a savior will never stop. Show me the rest, he said. I want to see what you call the best outcome. They led him past the warm room. The door closed behind them with a soft sigh. He felt the sound in his teeth. They entered a long gallery with windows on both sides. Behind the glass were training spaces. On the left, a track ran in a circle. Figures moved on it, children, but taller than human children of the same age. They ran with easy speed, balanced and light, their feet almost silent. On the right, a climb wall reached to the ceiling. Small Bono, not a boy. A hybrid hung upside down by his toes and laughed without sound. His mouth wide, his eyes BRIGHTA. Trainer clapped a hand sign. The children stopped at once and turned their faces to the glass. They did not look at the tall beings. They looked at the human soldier. One child, a girl with hair like thin silver grass, pointed at him and tilted her head. Who is that? The device asked the trainer through the glass, the voice shifting to the alien tongue. The trainer signed back. The device translated for him. They ask if you are a maker. He swallowed again. Tell them I am a person. The device did not speak. The trainer did not move. The children kept staring. One pressed a palm to the glass. The outline was small and perfect. He shook his head and looked away. His heart beat hard. He hated this place. He hated the silent order of it, the clean smell, the bright screens that made pain look like progress. Now you understand our design, the device said. Your role is clear, he turned back to the being. My role is to survive, he said softly. I am good at that. They led him to a final door at the end of the gallery. This door was larger, with two panels that met in the middle. Line of light ran between them, sharp as a blade. The symbols above the door were different from the others. They were older, carved deeper. The being raised a hand. The panels slid open. Inside was a room that looked like a chapel and a lab at once. The floor had a circle on it, marked with thin lines that met in a star. At the center stood a low platform. Over the platform hung a ring of instruments and soft lights. To one side was a small table with bowls, towels, and a pitcher of water. To the other side was a screen that showed a slow shape. Like a sunrise drawn with numbers, the carrier from the warm room was already there. She stood near. The platform, eyes down, hands folded, shoulders square as if under a weight. Another being adjusted the lights above her. The air was warm again. The smell of rain returned, stronger now. The device's voice was very calm. We begin with respect. We begin with consent. We begin with life. He looked at the carrier. He looked at the ring of instruments. He looked at the star marked on the floor. He felt the world press in on him from all sides. In a split-second decision, he stepped forward, not onto the platform, but toward the control panel near the door. He moved fast, faster than they expected. Alarms woke like angry birds all at once. The white lights shifted to amber. The hum under the floor rose to a sharp whine. The tall beings turned, coats flashing warning symbols. A barrier began to slide. Down across the doorway, the human soldier planted his feet and set his hands on the panel. He did not know the language, did not know the symbols, but he knew systems. He knew power lines. He knew that every machine has a heart. He looked for it now. The carrier lifted her head for the first time. Their eyes met hers, wide and wet, his hard and steady. In that brief, bright moment, something passed between them. "Trust me," he whispered. The barrier kept sliding down, inch by inch. The ring of instruments above the platform dimmed. The device's voice shifted, not calm now. It said one word he understood in any tongue: stop. He did not stop. He pressed his hand into the center of the panel, found a pulse of heat, and pushed. The room went dark for a breath, then came back to life, but not as before. Somewhere, a lock released with a heavy click, and then, far down the hall, a child began to run. The hall lights flickered red, then returned to white. The alarm had died down, but the echo of it still lived in the walls. The human soldier stood with his hand pressed against the control panel, breathing hard. He could not tell what he had triggered. All he knew was that something had changed. The tall beings whispered among themselves, their coats flashing quick streams of symbols. The device in the leader's hand no longer spoke in calm tones. It hissed broken translations, half in their language, half in his. He caught only fragments: containment breach, hybrid response, unauthorized contact. Then the leader turned to him. The device steadied, its voice cold again. "You will follow now. Any further resistance will not help you. The program must continue." The human clenched his fists. His eyes darted to the carrier still standing near the platform. She had not moved during the chaos, only watched him with wide eyes. Now her lips parted as if she wanted to speak, but fear sealed them again. Two guards entered the room. They were not like the tall scientists. These were hybrids, half human, half alien, grown larger than natural children. Their frames were strong, shoulders broad, muscles sharp under their gray-black suits. Their eyes glowed faintly in the light. Like embers behind glass, they flanked him without speaking, guiding him out of the chamber. He walked, not resisting, but his mind raced. He had seen many prisons. This was not one. This was a factory that built life itself, piece by piece. The guards led him through another corridor. This one was darker, lit by thin strips of light that traced the floor. At the end was a heavy door. When it slid open, the air shifted. It was warmer. Here, almost humid. A soft scent of earth and water floated through. Inside was a chamber unlike the others. No white walls, no sterile light. The floor was covered in soft moss-like growth, glowing faintly in green. Water trickled from stone walls into shallow pools. In the middle of the room was a resting platform covered with woven fabric, and on that platform sat another alien female. She looked up as they entered. Her eyes were sharp, not downcast like the carrier before. Skin carried darker patterns that curled across her arms and neck. She wore no scientist's coat, only a plain robe bound at the waist. Her gaze fixed on the human soldier was something he had not seen yet in this place. Curiosity. The guard stepped back and sealed the door. The leader with the device spoke. "This is your partner. Speak. Understand. Learn. The program begins when both are ready." The human frowned. "Partner? You mean prisoner?" The device did not answer. It flickered once, then fell silent. The tall being stepped away, leaving him alone with the female. For a long moment, silence ruled. He looked at her. She looked at him. Her hands rested calmly on her knees, but her eyes moved like a predator measuring distance. "You are human," she said at last. Her voice was low, accented, but clear. Not a translator, her own tongue shaping his words. He blinked. "You speak my language." She tilted her head. "We learn what is useful." Then, after a pause, "They bring you here to test me." "To test you?" He stepped closer, careful. "Test us for what?" Her lips pressed together. "Strength. Children. Soldiers." The words hung heavy in the warm air. He had known it, but hearing her say it made it real. "And you?" he asked softly. "Do you want this?" Her eyes hardened. "What I want does not matter. My family gave me to the program. They believe it is honor. Right. They believe it will save our people." He studied her face. There was no pride in her voice, only bitterness buried deep. He sat down on the edge of the platform, leaving space between them. "Where I come from," he said, "we don't make soldiers out of children. We raise them. We teach them to choose their own lives." She gave a short, sharp laugh. "Choice. That is a dream. Here, no one chooses, not even you." Her words struck like a knife. He could not argue. Still, he leaned forward. "But dreams matter. Maybe that's why they fear humans. Because we keep choosing, even when we're trapped." Time, her gaze softened. She studied him, as if she wanted to believe him, but years of control chained her hope. The door slid open again. A tray of food was placed inside strange fruits, steaming broth, and a flask of clear liquid. No words were spoken. The guards left as quickly as they came. The female picked up the flask and poured some into a small bowl. She handed it to him. "Without looking, drink. They will watch. If you refuse, they will punish us both." He took the bowl, his eyes narrowing. "Poison?" Her mouth curved in a sad smile. "No, they want you alive." He drank. The liquid was cool, sweet like spring water. He set the bowl down. She watched him carefully. "They will keep us here together," she said. "They will. Force closeness. They will watch every word, every touch. They think nature can be ordered like numbers." He shook his head. "Nature doesn't work that way." She leaned closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. "Then show me." "What?" "Choice looks like. Show me what humans do when the walls are closing." Her words surprised him. He had expected fear, or silence, or obedience. Instead, she asked for something else's spark, a different path. He met her eyes. "If I show you, will you trust me?" She hesitated. Her breath trembled. Then she gave a small nod. "Yes." That night, the lights dimmed until the chamber glowed only with the moss on the floor. He lay on one side of the platform, she lay on the other, backs turned, space between them. The silence was heavy but not empty. He closed his eyes, thinking of escape, of weak points in the walls, symbols on panels he did not understand. But one thought returned again, and again the look in her eyes when she asked for choice. And as he drifted toward sleep, he heard her voice, soft, almost a prayer. "Human, if we make life together, promise me it will not be only a weapon." His eyes opened in the dark. He did not answer aloud. But inside, he made the promise because he knew this was only the beginning. The human soldier woke to the faint sound of dripping water. The moss in the chamber glowed gently, painting the walls green. For a moment, he forgot where he was. Then he saw her sitting by the pool at the corner, washing her hands slowly. Her robe clinging to her shoulders, the alien female, his so-called partner. She looked calm, but he could see the tension in the way her fingers curled in the water. She had not slept much. Neither had he. "You are awake," she said without turning her head. "Hard to sleep when someone's planning your future," he replied. She gave a short laugh, bitter and dry.
"Oh."
"Our future is not ours. It belongs to them." He sat up on the platform, stretching his sore muscles. "Maybe, but I've never been good at following orders." That made her glance at him, just for a heartbeat. Then she looked down again. Later, the guards brought food. They left without speaking, as always. The human touched the tray, but he did not eat. He looked instead at the ceiling. He had counted the seams in the walls, the vents in the corners, the rhythm of the lights dimming and brightening. This place was no simple cell, it was a cage designed to look like comfort. As he stared upward, he spoke without looking at her. "Tell me something. Why did you say yes?" She tilted her head.
Nice.
Yes to what? Yes to this. To being a part of their program. Her jaw tightened. Because refusal means exile. Exile means death. My family is respected. If I refused, they would be punished. So I obeyed, and I hate myself for it. Her words were soft but sharp, like glass buried in sand. He finally looked at her. "You don't have to keep obeying," he said. Her lips curved in a bitter smile. "And what will you do? Break these walls with your fists? Kill the guards with your bare hands?" She shook her head. "You are brave." Human, but bravery here is nothing but noise. Noise gets crushed. He leaned closer, lowering his voice. "Not if the noise spreads." She froze, staring at him. "What do you mean?" He smiled, faint but certain. "Every system has cracks. You've lived here so long, you've stopped looking for them. I haven't. I saw a lock release yesterday when I touched the panel. It wasn't an accident. This place isn't perfect. Nothing is." Her eyes narrowed. "You are saying escape?" "Yes," he said. "Escape. Or at least fight back." At first she said nothing. The water dripped. The moss glowed. He thought she would laugh at him again. But then, slowly, she stood and came closer. Her shadow fell across his face. "You are mad," she whispered. "But madness is better than silence." He grinned. "That's the spirit." For the first time, he saw something alive in her eyes. Not fear, not resignation, but a spark. It was small, fragile, but it was there. That night, when the lights dimmed, they lay again on opposite sides of the platform. The silence stretched. But then she turned her head and whispered, "There is a room," she said. "The keepers call it the vault. It is where they store records, plans, and failures. Hybrids who did not survive. I was taken there once, long ago, before I was chosen. I saw things I was not supposed to see." He listened carefully. "What kind of things?" "Files, maps, codes for doors, and children kept in tanks. Half-born, half-broken." Her voice trembled. "They pretend the program is clean, perfect. But it is not. They hide the corpses." The human clenched his jaw. Rage burned in his chest. But he kept his voice steady. "And that's where we start. If we can reach this vault, we'll find something we can use against them. Proof? Or maybe even a way out." She shook her head. "The vault is guarded. Only scientists and keepers can enter." He smirked. "Then we make them take us in." Her eyes widened. "You are serious? Dead serious?" he said. "If we keep waiting, we'll just become tools in their machine. But if we move now while they still think I'm just adjusting, we have a chance." Her breath caught. And for the first time, she whispered a word in her own language, a word that sounded like a prayer and a curse combined. Then she nodded. "Then we plan." The next day, the program's handlers came again. This time, they brought the device and spoke of readiness and pair bonding. They asked him to stand with her in the circle, to begin the natural stage. The human smiled and obeyed, at least on the surface. He stepped into the circle, standing shoulder to shoulder with her. The scientist's eyes glowed with quiet triumph. But the human was watching more than their faces. He was watching the walls, the panels, the guard's movements as the alien female lowered her eyes. She whispered just loud enough for him to hear. Left wall, second panel. The vault. He gave the smallest nod. When the scientist asked him to place his hand on hers, he did. Their fingers touched, and to the watchers, it looked like compliance. But to him, it was a signal. No, a secret pact sealed in silence. Hours passed. They returned to the moss-lit chamber alone once more. She sat cross-legged, breathing hard. He paced like a caged animal. Tomorrow, she whispered, they will test you in the arena. He stopped. Arena. She nodded. They will release. Hybrids against you. They want to see how you react, how strong you are. If you survive, they will believe you are ready. His lips curled in a sharp grin. Perfect. Then tomorrow, we give them a show they'll never forget. Her eyes widened. You will fight them? No, he said. I will win them. Hybrids may obey their masters, but they're still half human. Maybe they're waiting for someone to show them they have another choice. She stared at him. That is impossible. He shook his head. So was surviving this long. But here, I am. That night, the chamber grew silent again. She lay still, pretending to sleep, but her mind raced. Humans' words repeated in her head. Every system has cracks. Noise spreads. For years, she had believed her fate was sealed. She was nothing but a vessel. But now, with him beside her, she felt something new, dangerous, terrifying, hope. And as the moss glowed faintly on the walls, she whispered one. More time into the dark. If you fall tomorrow, human, I will still carry the spark. But deep inside, she prayed he would not fall at all. Because if he truly rose against the program, then rebellion itself might be born. The next day came with no warning, just the sudden slam of the chamber door. The human soldier woke with a jolt as the guards marched in. Their heavy steps shook the moss-covered floor. He didn't have time to stretch, didn't have time to ask questions. And one grabbed his arm, the other gestured for him to follow. The alien female stood in the corner, her robe pulled tightly around her. Her eyes locked with his for a heartbeat. She gave no words, only the faintest nod. That was enough. He let the guards drag him out, his mind already sharpening like a blade. The hallways were darker this time. Lights overhead burned in steady crimson, casting long shadows on the white walls. He knew this was different from the tours he had seen before. He was no longer a guest, he was a subject. They led him into a vast chamber. The ceiling rose high, lost in darkness, but the floor spread wide like an arena. Smooth white walls circled it, marked with strange glowing symbols. The air smelled of sweat and iron. He understood instantly. This was a testing ground, the scientists. Stood above, behind thick glass, their coats flashing with symbols as they gestured to each other. In the center of the glass balcony, the leader held the device. Its calm, hollow voice filled the arena. Today we measure you. Today we compare. The human soldier rolled his shoulders, standing tall in the middle of the arena. His heart thumped steady. He had fought battles before, but this was different. This was no war for land or pride. This was survival against the unknown. A door slid open across the arena. Out stepped three figures. At first glance, they looked human. Their bodies were young, strong, their faces carrying shadows of Earth's features, but their eyes betrayed them slit pupils, glowing faint blue, scanning with unnatural precision. Their muscles flexed under their gray-black uniforms, thicker and leaner than natural growth should allow, the hybrids. They moved with perfect silence, like machines. Yet when they stopped, one of them, smallest of the three, with silver hair and sharp cheekbones, tilted his head at the human in the center. Not as a soldier would, but as a child would, when seeing something strange. The device's voice broke. The silence. Measure his limits. Engage. The largest hybrid stepped forward first. his fists clenched. His stance was trained, too perfect, like someone had carved battle into his bones. With no warning, he lunged. The human soldier dropped, low, rolling across the floor. The hybrid's fist slammed into the ground where he had been, cracking the smooth surface. The sound echoed like thunder. The soldier came up on his feet, circling. He didn't strike back. Not yet. He was watching, testing. The second hybrid moved next, fast as lightning. She leapt into the air, spinning to strike with both legs. Soldier crossed his arms to block, the impact driving him back a full meter. Pain shot through his arms, but he held. The hybrids regrouped. They did not breathe heavy. They did not show fear. But then he saw it just for an instant. The smallest hybrid, the one with silver hair, hesitated. His eyes stayed fixed on the human's face, not his fists. Curiosity? The soldier exhaled slowly. This is it, the crack. Is this all you've got? He shouted, his voice carrying across the arena. They built you strong, but strength isn't. Enough, the largest hybrid growled, low in his throat. The sound was more beast than boy. He charged again. This time, the soldier didn't dodge. He caught the hybrid's arm, twisted, and used the momentum to throw him hard into the floor. The impact shook the chamber. The scientists above scribbled frantically, symbols flashing faster across their coats. The second hybrid attacked from behind, but the soldier spun, sweeping her legs out from under her. She landed hard, but before she could rise, he leaned close, whispering one word so soft only she could hear. Choice. Her glowing eyes widened. Just for a moment, the smallest hybrid had not moved yet. He stood still, staring, his fists trembling. Finally, he spoke a rough, broken word, as if his mouth wasn't used to language. Double quotes, ... father. The arena fell silent. The soldier froze. The word pierced deeper than any strike could. He looked at the boy, at the small face torn between training and instinct. Father, the boy said it again, louder, his glowing eyes flickering. The scientists above erupted in frantic signs. The device stuttered. Subject deviation detected. Correct. Correct immediately. The largest hybrid rose to his feet, his eyes burning brighter, his fists ready. But the boy stepped between them. No, he said, his voice shaking but clear. He is mine. The soldier swallowed hard, his hands lowered, palms open. He looked at the boy and spoke slowly, steady as stone. I am not your enemy. I am not your tool. You don't have to be theirs either. You can choose. The boy's lips trembled. He looked from the soldier to the scientists above, then back. His breathing grew faster, uneven, and then, to everyone's shock, he dropped to his knees. The arena exploded in chaos. The second hybrid froze, torn between orders and the strange pull of the human's words. The largest hybrid growled again, but his strike faltered. The scientists shouted, alarms blaring. The glass balcony glowed red as symbols of failure lit. Up across it, the device screamed, its calm voice broken. Correct deviation? Correct deviation? Guards stormed into the arena, weapons ready. But the boy was still on his knees, his glowing eyes locked on the human. The soldier bent down, gripping his shoulder firmly. You are more than their weapon, he whispered. The boy nodded once. The second hybrid hesitated, then slowly, almost painfully, lowered her fists. Her glowing eyes dimmed. She looked at the soldier, then at the boy, then whispered, choice. The soldier's chest burned with hope. The crack was widening, but the guards were closing in. The scientist leader raised a hand. The guards moved faster. Energy whips crackled in their hands. The soldier stood tall, pulling the smallest hybrid up with him. The other two moved closer to his side. For the first time, they were not attacking. They were standing with him. The human looked up at the scientists above. His voice thundered across the arena. You wanted to see my limits? Then listen well. My limit is this. I will not let you decide what life means. Not for me, not for them. The boy at his side repeated the word like an oath. Father. The alarm screamed louder as the guards rushed in. And in that moment, something new was born in the arena. Obedience. Not fear, but rebellion. The arena floor was chaos. Guards stormed in with energy whips, their boots pounding against the cracked surface. The scientists above shouted, coats flashing streams of warning symbols. The alarms screamed like dying animals, yet in the middle of it all, the human soldier stood tall. 3 hybrids at his side, the smallest still gripping his hand, whispering that one dangerous word, Father. He knew this moment was the turning point. He couldn't win with fists alone. The enemy had numbers, weapons, and walls, but he had something they had never planned, for loyalty born from choice. The first guard lashed out with a whip. The human jerked the smallest hybrid behind him, taking the strike across his shoulder. Pain seared through him, but he gritted his teeth and forced himself forward. He caught the guard's arm, twisted, and pulled him down hard onto the floor. The hybrid girl beside him reacted without thinking. She slammed her fist into the fallen guard's chest, knocking the air out of him. The scientists above froze. Their weapons obeyed, but their hybrids hesitated. The crack is spreading, he thought. The device's voice blared, broken with static. Subject, deviation. Unacceptable. Reset required. Neutralize immediately. The human spat blood and grinned. Not today. The largest hybrid growled, caught between obedience and something new stirring inside him. His fists trembled. Then with a roar he turned, not on the human, but on the guards. His fists hammered into one soldier, sending him flying into the wall. Sparks burst from the impact. Gasps echoed from the balcony above. The scientists did not expect this. The program had never seen its creations disobey. The human seized the moment. He turned to the hybrids, his voice fierce. If you want freedom, stand with me. This is your choice now or never. The girl's glowing eyes dimmed, soft with hesitation, then brightened again with resolve. She joined the largest hybrid, fighting against the guards. For the first time, the hybrids fought not as tools but as children, reclaiming their will. The battle spread fast. Guards fell, confused by the rebellion. Whips cracked, weapons fired. But the hybrids moved with unnatural speed, shielding the human like loyal kin. Yet he knew they could not stay here. More guards would come. The program would never let this spark live. He scanned the arena walls, panels, doors, seams. Then he saw it near the balcony's edge, a maintenance hatch partly hidden in shadow. His mind raced. That could lead to the inner systems. Maybe even the vault, he shouted to the hybrids. Cover me! The largest one obeyed instantly, slamming into 2 guards at once. The girl leapt onto another, claws flashing. The smallest held close to the human, his tiny hands gripping tight. The soldier sprinted toward the hatch, dodging another whip strike. He slammed his fist into the panel. Pain shot through his knuckles, but the metal cracked open, exposing wires. He had seen enough alien tech to know one truth. Every system had a pulse. He ripped a wire free and jammed it into the panel's center. Sparks rained. The hatch groaned, then slid open. Behind it, a narrow passage stretched into darkness. The female carrier appeared at the doorway of the arena. She must have slipped past the chaos. Her robe fluttered as she ran toward him. Human, she cried. Her voice was sharp, urgent. This way is death if you run blind. You need the vault. He grabbed her arm as she reached him. Then guide me, you know the way. She hesitated, eyes flicking to the children standing by him. The boy's glowing eyes locked with hers, trembling with fear but also hope. That hope cut deeper than any chain. She nodded. Yes, follow me. Together they pulled into the passage. The hybrids followed, the largest covering the rear. The hatch slammed shut behind them, cutting off the screams and alarms of the arena. The corridor was narrow, the walls humming with power. Pipes ran along the ceiling, dripping condensation. The human's breath came hard, his muscles aching, but he didn't stop. The smallest hybrid tugged at his hand, whispering, Father, where do we go? He knelt for a moment, gripping the boy's shoulders. We go where they don't want us to go. We go to freedom. The boy nodded, though fear shone in his eyes. The carrier moved ahead, her bare feet silent on the floor. This passage leads to the vault, but it will be guarded. And even if we reach it, she trailed off. Even if we reach it, he pressed. She swallowed. You may not like what you find there. Minutes later, they came to a heavy door. Strange symbols glowed across it, pulsing like a heartbeat. Oh! The carrier placed her palm on the surface. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the door clicked, sliding open with a hiss. The smell hit. Then first, sterile air, mixed with something sour, like metal and rot. The vault inside were rows of tall glass tanks, each filled with glowing liquid. Shapes floated within hybrids in different stages of life. Some were small as infants, others nearly grown. Some breathed steadily, others lay still, motionless, their faces pale. The human's stomach twisted. He stepped forward, eyes wide. My God. The children beside him froze. The girl gasped, covering her mouth. The largest clenched his fists until his knuckles cracked. The boy clung tighter to the human's hand, his voice shaking. Why? Why are they sleeping? They're not sleeping, the human said softly. His voice broke. They're failed experiments. The carrier's eyes shimmered with grief. This is the truth they hide. They call them failures. I call them children. The soldier pressed his hand against one tank. Inside a half-grown hybrid floated still, eyes closed forever. Rage burned through him. He had seen war. He had seen death, but this was worse. This was murder, dressed as science. No more, he whispered. Not one more. Turned to the others. Take what we can from here, proof. Weapons, whatever we find. Then we burn this place down. The hybrids stared at him, trembling. For the first time, their eyes weren't empty. They were alive with purpose. The carrier looked at him, her voice low but firm. If we do this, there is no turning back. He met her gaze. Good, I don't want to turn back. As they began to search the vault, alarms blared again. Heavy footsteps echoed in the distance. Guards were coming. The human soldier stood tall, his heart pounding, his fists ready. He looked at the children, at the carrier, at the tanks around them. This is it, he said. We make our escape or we die trying. The boy whispered again, clutching his hand. Father, I choose. And with those words, rebellion found its spark. The vault trembled as boots thundered closer. The alarm lights turned the tanks of glowing liquid red, painting every failed hybrid inside with the color of blood. The human soldier clenched his jaw. He had seen death on battlefields, but this was different. These were not fallen soldiers, they were stolen lives. Children who never had a chance. He looked at the carrier, her eyes burning with quiet rage. He looked at the three hybrids beside him, their bodies tense, their glowing eyes shifting between fear and determination. He looked at the boy who clung to his hand. Father, the boy had called him. That word carried a weight heavier than any weapon. The guards were coming. He had seconds to prepare. Listen to me, the soldier said, his voice sharp and commanding. He pointed at the largest hybrid. You hold the line. You're strong, but don't fight like a beast fight. A shield. Protect them. The big one growled, but nodded, slamming his fists together with a sound like breaking stone. He turned to the girl. You're fast. Strike where they don't expect. Hit and move. Stay alive. Her eyes glimmered, and she gave the smallest of nods. Finally, he crouched down to face the boy. Stay close to me, no matter what. Understand? The boy swallowed, then whispered, I choose. The soldier's chest tightened, but he nodded. Good. Then let's show them what that choice means. The vault doors burst open. Guards poured in tall, armored, their whips crackling with blue energy. Behind them, the leader with the device stood, its coat flashing with urgent symbols. The calm voice was gone. Now it roared like a machine losing control. Terminate deviation. Restore order. Eliminate the human. The first guard lashed out, the whip cracked like thunder. The human ducked under it, driving his shoulder into the guard's chest. They both crashed into a tank, the glass spider webbing with cracks. Blue liquid poured out, spilling across the floor. The hybrid girl darted in, striking the guard's temple. Collapsed, unconscious. Good, the soldier barked. Keep moving. Another guard lunged at the largest hybrid. The beast child roared, catching the whip with his bare hands. The energy burned into his palms, but he yanked hard, ripping the weapon free and smashing the guard into the wall. Sparks burst as armor dented. Above, the scientists shouted in panic. Their precious program was breaking apart before their eyes. The carrier snatched a metal rod from a broken machine and swung it with fury. She struck one guard across the back, surprising him. "They call us tools," she hissed, "but we are fire." The human almost smiled. She was no prisoner now. The leader raised the device again. "Enough, obey." The hybrids froze for a heartbeat. Their glowing eyes flickered, caught between instinct and conditioning. The soldier saw the hesitation. He knew this was the true. "Battle not fists, but will. Don't listen," he shouted. His voice cut through the alarms, through the chaos. "You are not machines. You are not theirs. You are alive, and you can choose." The boy's grip on his hand tightened. "Choice," he whispered again, louder this time. The girl repeated it. "Choice." Even the large one growled it, deep and fierce. "A choice." The leader's coat flashed in fury, symbols stabbing like knives. But the control was gone. Spark had spread too far. The guards faltered as the hybrids attacked with new fire. Not blind obedience, but rage. Rage at years of control. Rage at being born only to serve. The human soldier fought alongside them, every move precise. He disarmed one guard with a twist, using the energy whip against its master. Ducked under another's strike, driving his fist into a throat. His body screamed with pain, but his will burned brighter. Then he saw it, the largest tank at the far end of the vault. Inside floated something bigger than the rest. Not a child, not an adult, but a giant hybrid soldier, grown larger, stronger, more dangerous. Its eyes glowed even through the fluid. The scientists above shouted. The device crackled. "Activate prime specimen. Release." The human cursed under his breath. The tank hissed, unlocking with a heavy thud. Glass split apart, and a flood of liquid spilled onto the floor. The giant hybrid stepped out, its skin steaming, its chest heaving. It was taller than any guard, muscles carved like stone, and its eyes glowed bright red. The scientist screamed. With triumph, obey. The creature's head snapped toward the human. With a roar that shook the chamber, it charged. The floor shook under its steps. The soldier braced himself, pulling the boy behind him. He had fought many enemies, but never something like this. The giant swung, its fist wide as a hammer. The soldier rolled, barely avoiding the blow. The impact shattered the floor where he had stood. Shards of glass and liquid splashed across them. "Take it down," he shouted. The hybrids obeyed. The large one slammed into the giant's legs. Forcing it to stumble, the girl leapt onto its back, clawing at its neck. The boy screamed, "Father!" As the giant tried to swat them off, the human charged in, grabbing a broken metal rod. He rammed it into the giant's side with all his strength. The creature howled, but did not fall. It was too strong. It was too fast. "Too dangerous," the carrier cried out, pointing to the ceiling. The core. He followed her finger. Above the giant, glowing pipes ran through the chamber ceiling. They pulsed with light, the power source feeding the tanks. He understood instantly. "It busy," he shouted. Sprinted across the room, climbing up broken equipment. The giant roared and swung, but the hybrids distracted it, slashing and striking. The soldier reached the pipes. He tore loose a metal shard, sparks biting his skin. With a grunt, he drove it into the glowing conduit. The chamber exploded with light. Electric fire rained down. The pipes burst, sending arcs of energy across the vault. The giant hybrid roared. In pain, as the surge struck it, its body convulsed, eyes flickering from red to blue, then back to red. Staggered, confused, torn between orders and agony, the hybrids attacked again. This time not with desperation, but with fury. Together, they brought the monster down. The soldier dropped from the ceiling, landing hard, his chest heaving. He looked at the twitching, smoking body of the prime specimen. It was still alive, but broken. He raised his eyes to the leader above, whose device now sputtered and cracked. Your program ends here. The leader stared, coat symbols flashing. In wild patterns, for the first time, the human saw something in its eyes. Not control, not confidence. Fear. The alarm shifted. A deeper tone blared through the chamber. The carrier's face paled. They will flood the vault, she said. To erase the evidence. To erase us. The soldier stood tall, gripping the boy's hand, his heart pounding. He looked at the hybrids. At the carrier. At the smoking wreck of the prime specimen. There was no turning back now. Then we fight our way out, he said. His voice was steel. And we show them that life cannot be caged. The hybrids raised their heads, eyes burning, bright. Together they prepared for the flood. The vault shook with a deep rumble. Warning sirens screamed, and the red lights flashed brighter, painting everything in blood-like hues. From the ceiling, heavy vents opened with a metallic groan. Cold mist hissed out, and a sharp chemical smell filled the chamber. They're flooding it, the carrier gasped, clutching her chest. They'll erase everything. Us, the tanks, the proof. The human soldier tightened his grip on the boy's hand. The hybrids pressed closer, their glowing, eyes darting around in fear. Even the large one, brave in battle, snarled nervously at the sound of rushing air and hissing steam. The soldier's mind worked fast. He had seconds, maybe a minute, before the chamber filled with poison. He looked at the broken prime specimen, twitching on the floor, then at the collapsed tanks of failed hybrids, liquid pooling around his boots. He refused to let this be their grave. No, he growled. We're not dying here. He scanned the vault at the far end, half hidden by tanks. A door blinked with faint green light. It was smaller than the main entrance. Maintenance. Maybe an emergency exit for scientists. He pointed there. Move. The large hybrid ran first, plowing through debris, clearing a path. The girl followed, quick and graceful, leaping over fallen equipment. The carrier guided the boy, holding his other hand. The soldier stayed at the rear, striking down any guard still struggling to rise. The hiss of poison grew louder, pouring down from the vents. The failed hybrids in the tanks were the first to suffer. Their still faces dissolved into the mist as liquid bubbled around them. The soldier forced himself not to look. Rage could wait, survival could not. They reached the door. The carrier pressed her hand against the panel. Nothing happened. The green light blinked once, then turned red. Locked, she cried. I don't have clearance. Ah! The soldier shoved her aside, pressing his palm to the panel. Sparks stung his skin. Remembered the earlier lock he had triggered by instinct. He closed his eyes, forcing calm into his racing heart. Every system has a pulse, he told himself again. He pressed harder. Heat spread through the panel, then a sharp crackle of power surged up his arm. The green light flickered, then steadied. The door slid open with a hiss. Go, he roared. They spilled into a long tunnel. The air was fresher here, but alarms still echoed, bouncing off the walls. The carrier gasped for breath, the boy clinging tightly to her. The hybrids moved silently, their glowing eyes sharp and alert. Where does this lead? The soldier demanded. The carrier shook her head. I don't know. Out of the vault. Yes, but this place is a maze. If we choose wrong, and we keep choosing until we're free, he said firmly. Better to die running than live as slaves. The boy looked up at him, whispering again, Father. The soldier forced a smile, ruffling the boy's damp hair, that's right. But fathers don't stop halfway. Hold on, the tunnel split into two paths. From the left came heavy footsteps, more guards. From the right, silence. The soldier made his choice fast. Right, they sprinted down the corridor, their steps echoing. The walls here were different, lined with smooth metal plates and flickering lights. It felt less like a lab and more like a control station. Then ahead, they saw it. A wide chamber with a towering window showing endless black space. And there, docked just beyond the glass, was a sleek alien shuttle. The carrier gasped. A transport craft. If we reach it, we're gone, the soldier finished. But the leader was waiting. The tall being stepped from the shadows, the cracked device still in its hand. Its coat glowed faintly, symbols streaming like fireflies across fabric. Had no guards this time. It didn't need them. You will not leave, the device hissed. Its voice was broken, half alien growl, half human echo. The program is life. You are chaos.
Oh.
Chaos dies. The soldier stepped forward, placing himself between the leader and the others. No, chaos lives. That's why we win. The leader raised its hand. The broken prime specimen lurched into the chamber behind it, body still twitching, glowing red eyes burning with unnatural fury. Somehow, it had dragged itself from the vault to obey. The hybrids froze in fear. The boy whimpered. The girl hissed. Even the large one growled uncertainly. The soldier knew what this was. Their final test. Their final stand. He turned to them, his voice sharp and strong. Listen, this is it. If we beat them here, we're free. No more cages. More orders. Just us and the stars waiting out there. The boy trembled. But it's too strong. The soldier knelt, gripping his shoulders firmly. We'd be stronger together. You're not weapons. You're family. And family never breaks. The boy's glowing eyes widened. He nodded. Family. The girl whispered the same word. Family.
Even.
The large one grunted it, deep and solid. Family. The carrier's eyes shimmered, tears gathering. She whispered in her own tongue. A word the soldier didn't know, but he felt its meaning. Home. The prime roared and charged. The floor shook. The soldier and the hybrids met it head-on. The large one grappled its arms, holding it just long. Enough for the girl to slash at its eyes. The boy darted forward, too small to be caught. Striking weak points with surprising speed, the soldier himself went low, driving his shoulder into the prime's chest. Together, they forced it back. The carrier swung her metal rod again and again, striking its head. Screaming in fury, the leader shouted commands through the device. Symbols flashing in panic, but the hybrids didn't obey anymore. They chose. End. With one final combined strike, they brought the prime crashing down. Its glowing red eyes flickered, then went dark forever. The leader stumbled back, the device sparking in its hands. Its eyes, for the first time, showed fear. The soldier advanced. Fists clenched. Your program is over. You tried to control life. But life belongs to itself. The leader tried to raise the device again, but the carrier swung her rod with all her strength. It shattered against the alien's chest. The leader fell, coat dimming, eyes dull. Silence filled the chamber. The soldier turned to the others. Ship. Now, they ran to the docking hatch. The boy pressed the panel, and this time, slid open easily as if the ship itself welcomed them. Inside, the vessel hummed with quiet power. The controls glowed with alien symbols. The carrier stepped forward, her hands trembling as she touched the console. I was trained in navigation before they took me. I can fly this. The soldier placed a hand on her shoulder. Then take us out of here. She nodded, determination replacing fear. The hybrids strapped in, the boy clinging to the soldier's side. With a roar, as the engines lit, the docking clamps released. And for the first time, the human soldier felt the rush of freedom as the shuttle shot into the black sea of stars. The facility shrank behind them, alarms flashing across its surface. Then, in a burst of light, it collapsed inward self-destruct. The program was gone. The carrier stared at the stars, tears streaming down her face. The girl leaned against her, the large one crossing his arms proudly. The boy looked up at the soldier and whispered one last time, "Father, we're free." The soldier pulled him close, his throat tight, his voice rough. "Yes, we are." As the shuttle vanished into the endless galaxy, a new beginning was born, not for one species, not for one program, but for a family forged in fire and choice. Not weapons, not tools, but life.